Well, joining us to discuss the legacy and the significance of Lucas Mangope to the people of the Northwest is a political analyst, Professor Sethugelo Matebesi. Professor, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us. I want to start here. The Northwest province is undoubtedly one of our most impoverished provinces, right? Even as it sits atop one of the largest deposits of precious metal and minerals in the world. ActionSA believe they can turn things around, and key to this revitalization is the leadership of Kwena Mangope. What are your thoughts on this particular partnership?
Hi, good morning in Kgosi and good morning to South Africans. A very interesting move by Herman Mashaba's ActionSA movement. For obvious reasons, one should understand that the leadership of any organization, any movement is key. And I've got a few issues that I would like to reflect on. First of all, in as much as we all know there's been a good legacy of some of these homelands, but we should also be quite mindful that there might be other people who have been hurt during that past era who will not now want to be, to join as ActionSA based on that because of the memories that I have about the Kgosi the government. But also, one should look at the organizational culture. And I strongly believe that leadership is key here. And the question is, perhaps ActionSA have seen the benefit of having somebody who already has a profile. But one should also look at what happened to other organizations in the past, emerging movements. You will always find that the problems emanate from the provinces, because if you don't have a strong leader, the role of any party leader in a province will be to consolidate branches and enhance the visibility of the movement. And perhaps they believe that Kwena has those skills.
You know, Professor, I think you're right about organizational leadership being key in this instance, particularly for ActionSA's decision to move ahead and start to plow in the Northwest. I mean, you heard Herman Mashaba repeatedly use the phrase ethical leadership. However, Kgosi Kwena Mangope is a career officer. He's a man of the SANDF, has never really ventured into politics, despite this rich political history that he was born into. What should we make of his move, partly aimed, as he said himself, at continuing his father's legacy?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the absence of good leader or good leadership, I think anything will fly. And we've got a huge problem in South Africa. There's a huge elephant in the room where we have thrown out of the window ethical and good governance. And it seems as if many South Africans have become passive passengers in all these malaise that is taking place. And we need South African citizens, irrespective of their background, and people like Kwena who can occupy that space to at least demonstrate to South Africans that there are still people who are capable of, contributing to what we will call as ethical leadership. But as I've indicated, unresolved conflict, unresolved historical, emotive, will come to haunt ActionSA if they don't navigate this issue very carefully. They've identified their leader, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of public pronouncements have to be made about, and I would also have been very cautious to perhaps, link his election to the legacy of his father, because that also sends a wrong message to current members of ActionSA that you need to come from a certain family to be able to occupy a leadership positions within the party.
Professor, I want to delve into that a little bit more, because ActionSA has been very clear right from the start about the party's objective, which is to unseat the ANC at any cost. Chief among their values is, as I've mentioned, this idea of ethical leadership. You've raised the legacy of homelands, the legacy of Mangope as something that could arise as a problem a little further down the line. I'm wondering if ActionSA has moved in the right direction as a political party by aligning itself, particularly around its goals of ethical leadership, with Kwena Mangope.
Yeah, a very difficult question to be able to respond to, because look, we can't also blame Kwena for the leadership style or legacy of his father. But what I do predict will be a problem is when they're gonna constantly make public pronouncement, and say and refer to the historic or the legacy of Mangope. That may just, as I've indicated, becomes a barrier for many people. You've got many voters, eligible voters who are sitting on the fences. We've seen the turnout of our local government elections, and parties such as ActionSA have brought a new sense of citizenship to South Africans, a new sense of hope about consolidating democracy. But as I've indicated, they need to navigate very carefully around who they choose as leaders. And already we've got history. History has brought us lessons. If you look at other parties, as I've indicated, what happens each time before 3, 4, 6 months before any elections, you will find that provincial leaders are being removed, problems within structures, fighting about leadership positions. And these are the issues that ActionSA have to look at if they want to, as they have been professing, to unseat the African National Congress come 2024.
All right, well, Professor, I'd like to talk about the kinds of inroads that ActionSA has planned for the Northwest. ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba says he's confident that his party will have made huge strides, in fact, in the Northwest to come 2024. So certainly casting his eyes towards those national elections. Do you think this goal is actually attainable, given the fact that they have decided to go down this path using a high-profile figure, an individual who, like I mentioned, has rich political history attached to his name? Is that the route to success, or are there other strategies, other avenues that ActionSA can deploy in that province to make sure that it is successful in its campaign?
Yeah, well, besides any other avenues, generally, South Africans are yearning for good governance. South Africans are yearning for a credible alternative. And we've seen what Action have done in the province of Gauteng. They've made inroads there. But having a credible leader, it's not the only factor that will come to play. If you have to run a party and you want to disrupt the status quo, and the status quo is the dominant status of the ruling party, then you will need also a vibrant core of foot soldiers. And foot soldiers means at branch level. You don't need a leader who will make public pronouncements in the media every second week. You will need foot soldiers, because I think we don't every time wants to bring in the ANC, but the ANC, despite all the trouble, is doing quite well, because over the years they've built quite a formidable later foundation of foot soldiers. And this is what I think Kwena has to do. Not tomorrow, he has to start today in building up structures within the province. And the province of Northwest have been encountering serious problems. You can take a drive anytime. You can just look at the road, service delivery. I mean, if I talk about the capital city, Mafikeng has become a pigsty. And I have to say it because I, for one, also was looking forward when I was still young to get employment either in Pretoria or Mafikeng, because I was just amazed at what I saw during Mangope's time, but go to that place. I don't know what happened there. And we had to ask a lot of questions. But fact of the matter is, organizations is about people. You can have all the resources, leadership and all that, but at the end of the day, you need to have branches, active, vibrant branches who will go out and garner votes for the organization.
Well, it does seem that long is the journey ahead for ActionSA. Professor, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for sharing those insights with us.